So here we have the fourth interview in the Carrickmore past players and present players uh, interviews. So with club legend here, Big Oz, Plunkett McCallan. Plunkett, just how long have you played for Carrickmore, or did you play for Carrickmore?
Did I? I'd say probably about 22 years maybe.
22 years. Can you remember what age you were when you made your debut?
I think about 16, 17.
17.
And
Many county finals have you played in?
I've played in 12 and two replays, 14 or something, isn't it? The counted as
14
when,
county finals. That's a record, and
yeah.
that has to be a record, and probably, if not all Ireland football, but club football or Ulster football definitely thrown. What's your earliest memory of playing football or of football in Carrickmore?
I would say it's probably Frank Fuzzy Daly in the big white socks up to the knees. I was wondering who he was, and then suppose early one of the remember Mickey Tubby absolutely poleaxing some man with a stick job to the face when he was a youngster. So they'd be two of
Yeah.
the earliest moments. Like,
Frank Daly, believe it or not, I can remember him playing for Carrickmore against Ahar in the league in 1988. And Francie Martin also played in that game. I think Carrickmore was short a couple of players.
Frank seemed to be about a long time.
About a long time.
So he was.
Um, what's your greatest achievement playing for Carrickmore?
His achievement, probably never receiving a black or a red card or getting sent off. We're probably up there with a few of the championship ones, like, but you know,
Right, right.
that's one of them things.
Very good. Who's the best player you think you've played with? You'd have played with a
Best
lot of good
player.
players.
Um, it's hard to know now who I don't really like. I don't really. Who'd have been the best? I'd say probably Monroe. The simple fact is that at the end of the day, Monroe was the born leader of the whole thing, and even if he wasn't playing well, he made damn sure that everybody else around him was playing well.
His older brother Raymond was a good player too.
Aye, well, he wouldn't have been just up to the general standards, but he was there. He was there.
Who's the best player you played against?
I mentioned a few of the likes of Kenneth and Nolan Gormley, but the one that really stood out, the one that gave you the most bother, would have been Vinnie Owens at Killyclogher. Anything at all aerial. Vinnie was always getting a flick on it. And as well as that, I suppose another one was Owen McCusker. You have to give it to him. He's on his day. He was
A fine player.
a fine player, like.
Growing up, had you any players from Carrickmore that you really looked up to?
But see, my problem with that there is for me I have to look down before I can look up at some players, most of them, because they're all smaller than me. No, I suppose you had like the same again, Monroe, and you had Mickey Bradley and them boys. You went in the change room with them boys in it. You were always kept right, you
Yeah.
know. So you were, but I would say them two boys there would have been big names when we were coming into the setup, like.
Yeah. Um, other than Park Colin Kill, what was your favourite ground to play in?
Oh, definitely from Roy.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever. I don't think I could stand to be corrected here, but I don't think I ever tasted defeat while lining in goals for Gigmore and playing in Pomeroy. So it's always a favourite ground.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good days in Pomeroy, even outside football.
Yeah.
Were there any standout managers for you?
uh, they're all good, but I suppose the ones that stand out would be Benny and Ed at the start. There when you're coming into the thing, they really turned the whole thing around, and Mickey Moore and come in, and then there was a lot of great managers. I always had a great rapport with the managers, but at the end of my career, I say, wee Brain, and then it was nearly a case of the more things changed, the more they stayed the same, because wee Brain then with Benny and Howie and Ed Fox and Mickey Moore came in, then wee Brain, and he added Paddy Talley to his backroom team. So
Yeah.
it was kind of, even though it was maybe 20 years apart, it seemed to be things seemed to be
Yeah. Went full circle
full
nearly.
circle, like.
Yeah. Any regrets?
Any regrets? This is the one. Nothing. I'd say the biggest regret was I stayed on a year too long, because it didn't. Not to do with, I should have went when wee Barney went,
Right.
because he got injured, and then I thought to myself that maybe my time had passed and I shouldn't be here. And then big Neil Duff took over for me, and I was asked, just to. It was actually me that told the management that I thought that Neil Duff would be. I could train or help Neil to be the goal. So stayed on there, and then Neil got injured, and then Jack came in, and it probably was. I thought to myself halfway through that season, and maybe, of all the regrets that I actually had come back that year.
Right. In fairness, Big Jack's, it's not fair comparing him to you, but Jack's blazing his own trail. He's doing a good job.
It's just me and him one day who just don't see eye to eye when it comes to the father and son, the goalkeeping thing. So it's best to let him out of himself.
Let him tear away. He's doing a good job. Who's the best trainer you played alongside?
I'll have to go with Corley. Me and Corley spent many a night in a bar or a nightclub, and Corley just drank twice as much as me, and every Sunday morning when we go to train, I was at the back of the queue absolutely struggling because the night before, and Corley was always leading the races, and I used to sicken him. Like how could he do that, like?
Duracell batteries. Who was the worst trainer?
I would say it's I'd say now probably me and Dickie Tubby now. In all fairness, now we weren't cut out for the long sprints or the long runs. We kind of wandered off down to the golden mouth and took penalty kicks.
Who's the best character you ever come across in the dressing room?
Jesus, we hear that dressing room where
Now, Raymond Monroe has picked you.
I don't know. We had see that dressing room. Jesus, you couldn't do nothing wrong. It was a hard place till get changed in if you had anything against your name back then, because you're. I suppose the Jenner was a good. Jenner was good. Big Shimmy always a good story to tell. Mickey Bradley always tanned to the last with the white outline of a pair of Speedos. I always remember Bradley walking about and everybody else Freezer or everybody else Snow White. The underwear always got a bad touch. I don't think there was some amount of underwear destroyed in them changing rooms over the years. So it was.
Who's the biggest hothead you ever played with?
Biggest hothead? I know I'm sure he's been mentioned before, but Corley. I have to go with Corley.
I know, it's pretty common.
Aye, very Corley.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know why or what happened, Corley. It must have been something in his younger days or something, but he was always, Corley was always angry. So he was, I'd say if Corley could get after it, he'd probably bite himself. He'd be that angry at times. So he was,
There you go. Who's the most underrated player you ever played with?
Underrated. Same thing again. You don't want to be seeing somebody's underrated. It's not. Everybody was rated. But I see the one that would have been underrated the most, or not underrated, but the boy that got on with his job the most, would have been Torda McGardy. Torda had marked some big names and never shied away from the challenge. And like as I say, like people, especially younger ones, probably wouldn't see that. They see this old smiley head in him, like he was a nasty piece of work on the football field, and he'd himself convinced it was all by accidental, this elbow or knee landing somebody, and even to this day when you're chatting him, he thinks that he it was accidental, but he was, like I'd say, Torda pound for pound now, he was as hard a footballer as you want, like just a nasty man.
Who's the best underage player you've ever seen?
Underage player? I would say from way back, like Colin McGardy was a big strong lad. I'd love to see him you know,
Yeah.
for fulfilling that potential. Up to the present day, probably, I think Shimmy Sweeney's going to be a class act. Just gets on with it, keeps it simple.
There's a man and you know too, at underage, we played along with him, was Oliver Loughlin.
Aye, Ollie Loughlin was special.
Oliver Loughlin was a fine player.
He would have led, he would have been our main player back up until, say, we were on the 16 level. Ollie Loughlin led it.
Got a bad cruciate injury at
And
18.
then maybe asthma.
Asthma as well.
Asthma was a big problem with him, but no, he would have definitely led us the whole way up. Ollie Loughlin was the go-to man, like that age group.
Have you any standout funny moments? I say you have plenty, but have you any standout moments you can remember?
Well, two of them really stand out. I want to just the first one was on under 14, Big Paddy McPhillips and God rest him, Vinnie Garn. We were over
That was under 16.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
But I had snuck out of the Dean one day to get over to Gallagher's shop to get maybe a packet of fags or something. But Big Paddy stopped with me and says I'm starting the night at full forward. But I run up anyway, and whatever happened, something to do round the farm, but I couldn't find me toes. But my mother, you know, the poor old creator, she went down to Pod Rafferty's, gave me a pair of togs. So she got me these nice white togs. So laid out anyway, went, played Cookstown, named it full forward, wanted to pull on my shorts, and there was a hole in the front of them. I was devastated. So it was. Went into full forward. And that time I was a shy old club, but I couldn't even go for the ball. Couldn't neither put my hands in the air or anything to hide. I just wanted to hide my modesty. It worked out after years after that. They were actually, she got me a pair of boxer shorts instead of football shorts. But the other one would have been wee Vinnie Mullen was the umpire. Vinnie was, it must have been near the start of Vinnie. He was smoking at that stage, but we're beating some team anyway by 30 points one day, and not mention the team, they were an up and coming young team, but they were beating by about 30 points, I would say. But late in the second half, I decided, or Vinnie lit up a fag, and he says, do you want to smoke of that? And I says, I did, aye. So Vinnie, he lit it up, gave it to me. I bent down and behind him, facing out towards the training field. I says, Vinnie, give me a shout whenever the other team's getting close. So that was all right. I was sitting there smoking away, didn't pass no remarks, but he says, you make it up now, they're coming. So I thought that he meant they were coming in midfield. I didn't realise that the full forward was bearing down 21 yards out, nobody near. So I hadn't got time. I think I just spit the fag out and got in, they hit the crossbar, and I nearly took the head off me and the crossbar back out. I looked over at Vinnie and he was standing laughing. I was about to say, you wee.
Brilliant. Well, that's all the questions. Just one more wee question that I've thought of myself that I think I need to ask you and everybody needs to know. Why do you think in your whole career that you were misunderstood?
I don't know what it was. I suppose, I don't know.
Do you think did you give off the wrong thing?
There was always this big, laid back, very civil man. Didn't like to see boys fighting, you know, and the fights always started away at the far side, you know, and you didn't want to see the likes of some young boy cutting the face of, say, Corey at the end of his career or something. Yeah. And that they always run out to settle it.
Get it stopped. But
then somewhere along that run from the goalkeeping to the full forward line opposite side, the piece that
you may have had a very aggressive run.
But it always changed halfway through the momentum. I was seeing, you know, I started off with all love in my heart, going to stop this fighting, that's not what G is about. And then by the time I got to the opposite 45, that had changed, you know, and it's probably something you'd have to go deeper into. Maybe psychologist or something, just to lie down on the big sofa and end up sleeping anyway. Halfway through to go.
Very good. Well, that's it, and thank you very much. And
no problem at all.
Hopefully we'll do this again sometime.
Aye.